Hi, my name is Quentin LeBeau, and I'm going to be talking about the movie Pickpocket and its relation to the philosophical ideas of Dostoevsky, Kierkegaard, and Nietzsche. This film is directed by Robert Bresson and was released in 1959. At this point in the story, Michel has already established himself as a thief. He's gained a mentor and has let it engulf his life. Jacques has an inkling about Michel's life and makes this known in this scene. Michel cautiously walks into the room knowing that Jacques is there. In a life of isolation that he's undertaken, this kind of socialness is more unfamiliar and foreign to him. As Jacques hands him the book, really just showing that he's sharing an idea, Michel slams the book closed, refusing the human connection and shutting himself off from the world. As Jacques begins to criticize the thief, Michel comes to his defense, seeming to frame him as something like the Nietzschean Superman that he previously spoke about. He sees the high intellect of this thief as defense for the crimes he commits, because he's so above everyone else. He doesn't need to follow the laws set for the common people. Michel believes that he himself also belongs in this category. As the shot-reverse shot sequence takes place, we see that Jacques' wallet is no longer in his jacket where it was before. As Jacques expresses his disgust for the famous thief stealing from friends, Michel does just that. The mise-en-scène in the shot reflects the sincere emptiness inside of Michel as he finds himself lost in the task of theft. As Michel and Jacques exchange glances, it's obvious both know what happened. Michel then talks about the consequences of prison for thieves. However, in this case, he's not merely talking about a physical prison, but the prison Michel finds himself in currently. Michel is in pure isolation, trapped in himself and unable to connect with humanity. He is in parallel to the mysterious visitor in the Brothers Karamazov. He has a confession to make, a crime that is eating him up, but his only way to reach redemption is through suffering and human connection. But he can't reach the community, and so he's left like the mysterious visitor, trapped with this internal conflict inside of him, almost comparable to the illness that the mysterious visitor himself does take up, or Yvonne gets later on. Jacques ends this interaction by giving a stark contrast to the actions of Michel. He has to borrow the book. He doesn't take it like Michel would, but instead he uses his overflowing social currency to connect with Michel in order to get the book. This is almost contrasting the normal person to who Michel really is. Like I've said before, this scene as a whole is very similar to the concept of the mysterious visitor story presented by Zosima in Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. Except the situation is in reverse, almost like an intervention. It is Jacques' attempt to connect and present a community for Michel. Yet Michel blatantly rejects this invitation, furthering his dive into crime by stealing Jacques' wallet. The scene transitions to a pinball machine, again representing the prison Michel has found himself in, as the ball goes up and up again, but still remains in the same place. The film goes a little meta here, as the character says, "The same old ideas?" Yes, the same. As if to say, the last scene expressed the idea of a prison, we really don't need to stay on this any longer. As they talk about the merit of a pickpocket and the value that it adds to society, they almost identify Michel as a Kierkegaardian knight of faith, in line with his commitment to his thievery. Already we've established that he's in isolation. As we can see here, he's opposed to the two normal, or at least more normal characters. At the same time, he's already theologically suspended the ethical due to his guidelines of being a Superman and his ability to do whatever because of his higher intellect. And finally, as Jacques says, he's living in the absurd, and as we see, he's unable to coherently express his ideas because of how absurd the path he's chosen is taking him. As Michel sits, waiting to meet with the inspector, Bresson utilizes a slightly high-angle shot and a sparse mise-en-scène to emphasize the isolation Michel finds himself in. In this interesting exchange with the inspector, there are a lot of parallels to Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. In Crime and Punishment, there's a dynamic between the inspector and the criminal that resembles almost a game of cat and mouse. Both know but are kind of dancing around each other, not quite wanting to enact action against each other. This threat leaves Michel even more isolated as he attempts to flee his connection with the community for fear of being caught and put in prison. The final scene perfectly exemplifies the state of mind Michel is left in. He runs from people into the solitary confinement of his apartment. Once there, we find that he has an even deeper compartment for his valuables. Paralleling the state of his internal anguish, he has buried all his pain and feelings deep inside himself, unavailable to those on the outside. Overall, these scenes truly characterize Michel in the frame of a Dostoevskian archetype. As shown by the sparse mise-en-scène and the dialogue, Michel can be painted as a similar character to Ivan in The Brothers Karamazov or Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment. He is someone trapped in a personal prison, experiencing internal anguish and isolation for the crime he has committed. He is trapped, and his only way out is through the Dostoevskian redemption, connecting with community and repentance for his wrongdoing.